Kia ora koutou. Welcome back to another edition of the Hottest Sports. Yeah.
Where are we?
With me, Macca, and my good mate Mahona. How are you this week, buddy?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Still decided not to protest, do my little bit, stay at home. Get double vax, get that booster. I'm feeling
Quite
good,
right.
mate. Feeling
Quite
good.
right indeed. Quite right indeed. Well done, that man.
How you been, mate? How you been in the beautiful Wairarapa?
And the lovely Wairarapa that when it finally stopped raining last weekend, I thought I was going to have to start building the ark. The parking area of the Greyfriars Motel was taking on a bit of water.
Ooh.
And I thought I might have been able to get the water wings out and go and have a swim, but it went away just as quickly as it formed.
As it does down there, mate. Beautiful weather most of the time, isn't it?
Quite right indeed. Anyway, on to sport.
Get into it.
We've got some big issues this week. First one, Warriors boss Cameron George has asked the government to create a travel corridor for sports people to travel freely between New Zealand and Australia. What do you think about this one, mate?
Well, this will be interesting to see what you think as well. I think the Warriors have done basically everything that the government's asked of them, to be fair. And quite interestingly, once we finished our podcast last week, I jumped on the internet, and after me saying, "Oh, this is the first Warriors game, we're back at home," it changed again. So. And Cameron George came out and said, "Look, there's no way that we're going to be able to do this. They're not going to be able to do the quarantine here, so we're going to have to skip that first game, maybe the second game." And now the government's come out and changed the rules again. So they've said, well, for me, I think it's good. I think what he's trying to do is come up with a solution where there isn't any. And to me, they've jumped through so many hoops for the government. So I would just like the government to maybe come to a little bit of agreements with the Warriors and sort of say, well, you've done your bit for the country and for the sport. What say we do a little bit for you?
And it's not just the Warriors, of course. It's
all the other
Phoenix,
teams.
the Breakers, the rugby teams have all done their bit. And then just to give a bit further background on it, what George told Stuff earlier in the week was there could be a corridor created that would allow a team or individual to spend 48 hours to compete in New Zealand. That could be a team or an individual from either golf or football, basketball league, tennis or rugby.
Yep.
And if the government said teams could fly in within 48 hours of a game, they could train away from everyone and would be restricted to their hotel where they'd only have access to a team room and their own individual rooms, then I think that could work. Obviously, they'd also have to undergo testing every day.
Obviously. They'll be doing that anyway.
Yeah. That's what they're doing with the Super Rugby bubble. And
that's right. And we've had a couple of COVID.
Broken.
That's right. We had a couple of COVID cases. It's still not stopping the Super Rugby. Well, there'll be a couple of postponements, I think, but they're still going to go ahead with that. All they're going to do is put protocols in place. I think this is sensible, man. I mean, obviously the goalposts have been moving for quite a while now. COVID just doesn't look like it's ever going to stop. It's so hard in 2022 to even think of a world without it at the moment. Everyone's making, and I just think this is just sensible going forward. It just makes perfect sense, but it's how you implement it, isn't it? But I like the way that Cameron George is coming up with solutions rather than just throwing his hands in the air and go, "Oh, this sucks. We need to play rugby league in New Zealand. It's not fair. Not fair. We're over it. We're over it."
But like the CEO of the Blues.
You know who I'm talking about. So I like the fact that they're coming up with a solution to try and get this done. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, mate. Whether the government can get this done.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. Obviously, as a member at Sky Stadium, I'd be very keen to be able to go to a few games there. I've not been able to go since the end of Super Rugby last year. So a long time, and thankfully Sky Stadium have been absolutely fantastic with paying your subscription. They've not charged me for the last 6 months.
Oh, haven't they? That's great.
So yeah, they've done a great job, and also the car parking pass is valid right through till the.
But there's no place to park there anymore though, because that's where all the protesters are parking there now, mate. So.
Oh well.
Good luck.
Hopefully they'll bugger off. Anyway,
hopefully they'll disperse shortly.
They will. Well, I don't know if it shocked you, but it certainly shocked me to see on the news a couple of nights ago, the New Zealand Rugby and Players Association have finally agreed on the Silverlake investment.
Oh, I'd forgotten about it.
So had I. This has been going on for nearly a year, and
there was backwards and forths. Seemed like they were never. There was a massive impasse there.
Yeah.
Seemed like they were never going to come to an agreement, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we haven't heard from it in months, and then all of a sudden,
it's back
there
on.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rob Nichol, the CEO of the Players Association, said after months of standoff between New Zealand Rugby and the Players Association, the agreement addresses our fundamental principles, ensuring a true comprehensive partnership, allowing us to invest together in rugby globally and establishing the right governance models.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Bingo! Bullshit bingo!
Yeah. I tell you what, Rob Nichol, having worked with the guy for a year, quite a while ago, he's Mr. PR spin.
Yeah.
And apparently Silverlake will own between 6 and 8% of New Zealand Rugby, providing all commercial needs for the sport. And there's a further co-investment of up to 100 million could happen a year into the deal. So
okay, so this is 6 to 8% of the game in this country for 200 million. Is that right?
Yeah.
6 to 8%.
Game's valued at 61 million apparently in New Zealand.
Hang on, that doesn't make sense. 200 million. They've got
610 million.
Yeah, I was going to say. So yeah, 610 million. But you said 6 to 10% for 200 million.
Between 6 and 8%.
Okay, but that still means that still means a hell of a lot more than 600 million.
Yeah,
that means you're valuing the sport at over $1 billion. But when you think about the broadcasting rights, the history of the All Blacks, all that sort of thing, I mean, I think that's a fairly fair valuation of the sport. The question that we've always had around this proposal, though, Macca, is any of this going to trickle down to the places that really need it, the grassroots, the provincial sides? I mean, if it's all just going to the top, it's a mistake. The game is going to die, you know. So
yeah, well, apparently the provincial unions will get a wad of cash immediately.
Okay.
So the national NPC teams, the 14 NPC teams, will all get $1 million, and the Heartland teams will get 500,000. Now
but that's a one-off grant, not an ongoing thing. Okay.
No, I mean it may turn into an ongoing thing. I don't know. It depends on how the commercial arm of the organisation, if they do their job,
good luck,
and bring more money into the game. I'm not really in favour of them being just handed a wad of cash.
Me neither.
I
can see this going wrong, man.
Most unions will be sensible with it, but you know, there's always going to be one or two that are just going to go, woohoo!
I know.
What a cash. Let's all give ourselves a pay rise.
It reminds me a little bit of the treaty settlements. You know, some tribes did bloody well. Others went out and bought the warriors. You know, it was probably not what you should be doing with your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just don't trust the governance of all. I mean, maybe before they dole out the money, they've got to have a plan of what they're going to do with it. I mean,
yeah,
you know, like most of us have to provide to a bank or something if we go for money. I just hope, once again, I'll say it again, just get it to the provinces and the grassroots rugby, because without it, the sport's in trouble in this country, mate. The sport's in trouble. I don't
know if you saw TVNZ News last night when Andrew Saville was doing the story on it, and he was interviewing Sam Kane, Brad Weber, and David Hill, one of the assistant coaches, and they were squashed together on a little couch. And Andrew Saville, when they were talking about the money, says, "Oh, well, perhaps you guys can buy yourself a new couch."
Good call, Sav. Yeah, well done.
Interesting. I tell you what, I'm going to be following this closely and seeing what kind of difference it does actually make to the game, and whether New Zealand Rugby can do this right.
Right, yeah. Well, unlike their competition structure. I mean, let's just hope they get their money structure going right, eh? Yeah.
Quite right. Anyway, one standoff has been resolved. Another one still drags on.
Oh, really? The baseball?
Talking Major League Baseball, of course, between the owners and the Players Association. The owners offered a new compromise last weekend, which focused on 4 core economic factors. But we've heard nothing from the Players Association since. I mean, it's Thursday in the United States now.
Mm-hmm.
That was given to them on Saturday in the United States. So that's 5 days ago, and we've heard nothing. I really don't know what that means, whether the Players Association have tucked themselves away and are going over it with a fine-tooth comb. MLB Network host and former player Harold Reynolds believes the delay from the Players Association may be a good sign, as previous offers from the owners have been quickly turned down. So, yeah, I don't know whether to believe that or not. Harold Reynolds is sort of a bit like the Simon Dool of commenting. You know, he likes everything to be sensationalized and all that sort of thing. Or maybe Danny Morrison's probably a
better one.
Simon Dool.
What are the 4 core economic factors anyway?
Well, it's a pay rise for players in their first 3 years of service.
As we talked about last week, yep.
Which we talked about last week. There's no movement on the service time as yet.
Yep.
They've offered a bonus pool for draft picks. And also increase the threshold for taxation on. Basically, it's their form of a salary cap. It's not a salary cap, but it's to go over. And they've also got rid of, at the moment, every 3 years, you can lower your payroll to reset your tax threshold.
Sure.
They've got rid of that, but the tax thresholds go up over the period of this bargaining agreement. So basically over the next 4 years. And
from your reading of it, mate, do you think that what's your thoughts? What do you think the players will? I mean, like you say, they haven't said anything. So obviously they're considering the deal. What are your thoughts? What looking forward?
I mean, some of them have still not really got anywhere near what the players want. And of course, they still haven't addressed service time, which we talked about at great length last week. So yeah, I don't know.
It sounds like there's still some problems. So
yeah,
probably this has got more further to run.
If they want the season, I mean, the thing is, if the season doesn't start on time, it's the owners that are going to, miss out on TV money, crowd money,
and the fans,
and players won't get paid. So
and
it goes both ways.
And we won't get to see any bugger the fans. Yeah. Well, we're always the last to be considered, aren't we? Really.
So yeah, I mean, the whole thing, there's no consideration for the fans anyway after it's gone on for this long. So yeah, I just don't know. I don't know.
Yep, it's going to be one of those things that rumbles on, eh? And
and I mean, spring training pitches and catches were supposed to report yesterday. And position players were supposed to report today. So that's not happening. Spring training games they're going to be cancelling spring training games, which are due to start Wednesday next week.
Jeez. So they could be going, if they don't resolve this quick, they could be going into the season pretty cold, all the teams.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the players have said they need 4 weeks spring training.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's 6 weeks. So they're going to get rid of 2 weeks anyway. They're basically saying if there's no deal done before the 1st of March, the actual season is going to be delayed and they're going to be cancellations. And that will be an absolute travesty for the sport.
Well, you remember last time. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember when the game did have that big strike, and what it basically took was 2 guys going for the home run record to bring everyone back to baseball. It may require something like that again. Shohei Ohtani doing a Babe Ruth or something like that. But you can't rely on that every season, can you?
Oh, exactly. So yeah, so that's our big issues for this week. On to the football. What's happening?
Bit of soccer, football. Liverpool beat Inter Milan. Of course, during the week we also beat Burnley, a fantastic, full of flair and gusto. It was an absolutely fantastic game to watch, wasn't it? 1-0 against Burnley. It was gross. Honestly, mate, I fell asleep on the couch watching that one. That was
Yeah.
boring, but it was terrible. Burnley have definitely replaced Stoke, haven't they? Is that Can you go there in midweek during the pouring rain? It looked so cold in Burnley too, didn't it? But we followed that up with a very good win in Milan at the San Siro, beating Inter Milan 2-0 half-time. It was 0-0 and it looked a very, very tight game. No shots on goal from either side, but a couple of goals in the second half. Firmino header, fantastic goal, that one from the corner. And then Mo Salah whipping in with his trademark left foot to make it 2-0. What did you make of the game, Macca?
Yeah, well, it was a massive defensive performance from Liverpool, wasn't it?
It was.
Virgil van Dijk and
Alisson.
Bruma Konate were just an absolute big red wall
Absolutely.
to Inter. I mean, they did create a couple of chances, but never really looked like scoring. I mean, I know Çalhanoğlu hit the crossbar with one, but that was pretty lucky. And yeah, just a couple of clinical goals in the second half. Interesting to note, you mentioned that no shots on target in the first half. There wasn't actually any shots on target until Bobbies went in.
Yeah, there was only 2 in the game, wasn't there?
So while the keepers were dealing with lots of crosses and through balls and that sort of thing, they didn't actually have to make any saves. I don't know if you picked it up while watching. Did you see Jordan Henderson's face
when he got patted on
when Joel Matip come up behind him and patted him on the head while they were celebrating?
I did. I think he thought it was a touchy. I don't think he thought it was. Yeah, that was quite funny. What did you make of Harvey Elliott? It was obviously his biggest game of his career. I thought he looked a little bit lost out there for the first little while. I mean, as you would, he's only 18 years old. So yeah, I thought that was a big call putting him in. It'll be a great experience. I think he'll do a lot of learning from that game.
Yeah, he after that sort of first half an hour, I think he settled in a bit more into the game and looked pretty good, especially early in the second half before he got substituted. But yeah, Jurgen Klopp just masterful at managing that team, isn't he? I mean,
isn't he?
It shows that we've got a whole squad available, and bringing Bobby on at halftime. Obviously, Diogo Jota suffered a wee ankle injury.
And then Jordan Henderson and Keita in the second half. Yeah, they were great substitutions.
And Diaz, the three of them all came on, and that right fullback for Inter Milan didn't know what was going on when Diaz came on. He thought he'd had a good game up until then, and then he just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. Any worries about Mane? I don't know. He sort of seems a bit all over the place at the moment. Don't know what's going on with him.
He nearly scored a brilliant overhead goal.
He did. But some of his, I don't know, sometimes he just sort of wants to dribble with the ball. You're like, pass it. Other times you want to pass it, he dribbles. You're like, I don't know. He just seems a little bit off his game at the moment. I just hope he gets his mojo back because he's one of my favorite players. Yeah. Elsewhere in the Champions League, PSG stole a late winner against Real Madrid with an injury time winner from Kylian Mbappe, of all people, the guy that's rumored to be going to Real Madrid. Did you watch this game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was a really good game. And just before we talk too much more about it, just the other results. Man City had an easy win over Sporting 5-0. But the surprise for me, Red Bull Salzburg holding Bayern Munich to 1-1. It was a late goal for Bayern Munich to level that up. I think what really showed especially the two games that I watched, I didn't watch the City game or the Bayern Munich game, but just the effect that the no away goals rule has had on the ties. It's basically switched it around, hasn't it? Away teams
sit back now. Away
teams are pretty much just sitting back. I mean, look at all the pressure that Liverpool soaked up before they actually did score. They didn't really go out with their normal all guns blazing, full on attack. I mean, they were pressing a lot, but and Real Madrid sat back against PSG and just soaked up all that pressure. And obviously they conceded the late winner from Mbappe. But it's pretty much turned it around 180 degrees, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, I've been listening to a couple of podcasts during the week saying that they didn't think it had anything to do with the away goals. I disagree with that. I think it definitely does. This is the first time there've been no away goals. Liverpool always had away in Europe. Nick an away goal, come to Anfield, we'll hold them, we'll win. You know, that's a traditional way we've done the business in Europe. And And Real Madrid, certainly. I mean, if that was the biggest illustration of it, that game, where they played really well defensively, but every time they got the ball, they just didn't really want to take it forward, did they? I mean, I know Benzema's been injured, so that's probably, and he looked half fit. So, but even now, it's 1-0 to PSG. It's only one goal. They've got to go to the Bernabeu and win by more than one goal. So, Real Madrid do. So, and that could easily happen. It could easily happen. So, it's only one goal. You sit back at your peril. I've never understood why teams do it, man. Just go out there and play your game.
Play your game, yeah.
Play your game, yeah.
But yeah,
I used to like the away goals rule, by the way.
So do I.
I don't understand why they got rid of it. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, because away teams were pressing too hard for a goal and
making the games too exciting. Yeah.
We've talked about the ugly win for Liverpool. Looking at elsewhere in the Premier League, Newcastle win again.
They did.
They've created a bit of a split now between them and the bottom three and themselves, Everton and Leeds. It's certainly, I mean, at the moment, you'd have to say those bottom three are the three that are going to go down. But do you think one of them might be able to climb out, and can Brentford survive, or are they about to join the relegation battle?
I think the bottom three will stay the bottom three now. Newcastle, to me, look like they're rapidly improving. Those signings they've made have made a huge difference. Trippier's on fire, but he's injured now. But I've still got enough to do it. They've won 3 in a row. Everton won't be drawn into it. I think they're looking okay under Lampard now. They had a great win as well over the weekend. Brentford may get dragged into it, but I think they'll probably just have enough. I think they're the one team that may have to be a little bit worried, but the other 3 teams, they just look dead and buried to me. I mean, Norwich look awful. I mean, I just can't see anything changing there with the bottom 3. What about you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And certainly watching Burnley over the weekend, they certainly don't look to have improved much. I mean, obviously they've lost Chris Wood, and they've got the big Dutch Wout Weghorst has come in.
He looks handy. He
does look handy. I noticed some fan pages saying that some Burnley fan pages saying that Weghorst is definitely way better than Chris Wood.
I've heard that. I've seen that. Yeah. Oh, he's an upgrade. Yeah,
he's an upgrade.
Hasn't scored a goal yet.
The guy that left has scored, 50 Premier League goals for you
in 3 seasons. Yeah,
and is probably 20 higher than anybody else that's ever played for Burnley.
Yeah. Well, careful what they wish for because they're going to be playing in the Championship next year. Is my call anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Spurs have lost their 3rd game in a row, but still in a battle for 4th. In 7th place with 36, behind Man United 3rd on 43, West Ham 4th on 41, Arsenal 5th on 39, and Wolves 6th on 37. That one's going to go right down to the last week, isn't it?
It is, because they're all awful.
Yeah.
All of those sides, every time you think, they're doing okay now, they've won 1 or 2 in a row, then they lose a couple or they draw against some dross. It's like, you just never know what you're going to get with any of those teams. I mean, probably West Ham are the most consistent out of all of them, but they've fallen away a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So I've got absolutely no idea who's going to finish 4th. Absolutely none. Spurs have been awful the last 3 games. Man United, well, who knows what you're going to get? Toss a bloody coin. West Ham, I think, have been the most consistent. Arsenal, they are so up and down. They do well against the bottom sides. They just get pantsed by the top sides.
Yeah.
And Wolves, they're floating under the radar, aren't they? They could do something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the season, I said after losing Nuno Espirito Santo that
they were going to get relegated.
Going to be in a relegation fight, but this guy, another Portuguese boss, has done really well with the team, and I would love to see them get up to 4th.
Oh, so would I.
Of all those teams, all those 5 teams, I would love Wolves to get up into 4th place.
Yeah, Wolves or West Ham for me. Those other sides can all go suck one. The Phoenix have continued though. Good form, man. Yeah. Good form. Great form from them after a draw with Adelaide and a win over Brisbane, climbing to 5th in the ladder with games in hand on 3 of the other 4 teams above them as well. And the style they're playing is bloody good to watch, mate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, what have they picked up now? Unbeaten in their last 5, 4
Yep.
wins and a draw.
Yeah, great form.
Yeah, well, as I said last week, I think just that the squad that he's got, that Ufuk Talai's got now at his disposal is much akin to what we're talking about with Jurgen Klopp. He's got a full squad available, and everybody's fit and firing. Hooper's back after a couple of weeks off with an injury. He was on the bench against Brisbane. So, yeah.
The young Mexican guy looks good too.
He's quality. That goal he scored against Brisbane was an absolute bullet.
Yeah, and being able to bring guys off the bench that can actually make a difference. You know, the Phoenix haven't had that for so long, much like Liverpool, and just makes such a difference, Such a difference.
Absolutely. What's happening in the league world, mate?
Oh, hang on, mate. Just before we go, if you're having a bad day, I just want to add something here. If you're having a bad day, just remember, Man United signed Harry Maguire for more money than Salah and Mane combined. So if you're having a bad day, unless you're a Man United fan, and also that Fabinho has scored 5 goals this year, Ronaldo's scored 1.
Yes.
So he's 5 times the player Ronaldo is. So there you go. If you're a Man United fan, don't feel too good about yourself today, please. Your team's pants. Okay. Let's go to the league. Of course, footy is officially back, mate. The Maori side defeated the Indigenous boys 16-10 in a thrilling all-stars clash that was full of fireworks, a bit of biffo to bring the to start the season off with. Raiders star Jordan Rapana was placed on report twice for shoulder charges, while Sharks enforcer Andrew Fafita was sin-binned in his comeback match, which was quite funny. He tried to step in when his mate was getting clobbered and got clobbered himself, and then get sent to the bin. One of my least favourite players. Maori skipper and man of the match, or mana of the match, as I like to call him, Joe Tapani was immense alongside his co-captain Cody Nikorima, who has pushed his case to start in the halves for the Warriors this season. He played very, very well in the number 7 jersey. Nikorima has no interest in being used as a utility in 2022, he said after the game, and he showed that he's still got plenty of tricks at halfback. Now, Warriors coach Nathan Brown has 4 playmakers to choose from this season. Nikorima, Sean Johnson, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and Ash Taylor. So once again, great having a little bit of depth in the team. So yeah, I really enjoyed that game. It was full of fire, full of passion, and the just the haka and the Aboriginal, I don't know what you call it, the Aboriginal Watusi or whatever you want to call it, that they did before the game. Those were wicked, man. I honestly think that the Australian side should definitely do something like that. It was so good to see, so good. So yeah, that was a great kickoff to the season, but now we're just about underway in the preseason games. Nathan Brown is set to unleash most of his big games for the Unite for Tonga trial in Melbourne tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the Warriors, including Dallin Watini-Zalesnia, Marco Montoya, Ewan Aitken, and forward leaders Adam Whanua, Blake, Ben Murdoch-Masila, and Bunty Afoa. New signings Ash Taylor, Aaron Penne, and Jesse Arthurs are also to play. While they'll miss the start of the season proper through suspension from last season, prop Matt Lodge and Reece Walsh are also clear to play in the trial against the Storm. Maori All-Stars trio Cody Nikorima, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and Jazz Tavanga will all back up, but Indigenous All-Star Josh Curran suffered a head knock and is going to sit out this week. Not being used in this trial, halfback Sean Johnson, hooker Wade Egan, and back rower Jack Murchie, and also captain Tohu Harris. All of these players are likely to be used in the second trial against the Gold Coast Titans in Redcliffe on February the 26th. In other Warriors news, Josh Curran has extended his contract, which is great news as far as I'm concerned. He's extended it to 2024. You can see how much he's grown in the last year. He's really been a massive improvement for the Warriors. And he's only 22 years old. He's underlined his growing stature in the game by earning selection in the Indigenous All-Stars for the 3rd straight year during that loss to the Maori in Sydney. He played 47 minutes and he made 80 metres from 9 runs, as well as 18 tackles without a missed tackle. He's a really good player for the Warriors, very important this year. I'm glad we've signed him up again. And also in rugby league news, a memorial service is going to be held for the Big O, Olsen Fullerpaina, 11 a.m. next Monday at Leichhardt Oval in Sydney, which is really nice. The Tigers doing a wake out at Leichhardt Oval, which is where, of course, he had so many of his great deeds on the rugby league field. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool that the Tigers are doing something for him in Leichhardt.
Yeah, absolutely. The Big O.
The Big O.
As you mentioned last week, it It's the Warriors' year.
It's always our year, but this year especially, mate, because it's 2022. Go the mighty Vodafone Warriors!
Quite right, quite right.
Yoo-hoo!
Well, on to the other oval ball code, and we've talked a bit about rugby already with the Silverlake deal. Another thing that's going around at the moment, South Africa has confirmed their Sanzar commitment through to at least 2025, quashing rumours they were about to join the Six Nations. But I read in the English newspapers this morning that reports from the Northern Hemisphere say the Box will then join Six Nations from 2026.
Yeah, so we're not planning on it yet.
No.
So it's a temporary stay of execution.
Yeah. Well, all their provinces, all the teams that used to play in Super Rugby are already playing in the Pro 14 competition in the UK and Europe. And of course, Super Rugby this year is just New Zealand, Australia, and our two Pacific teams.
That's right.
And of course, Northern Hemisphere rugby people are saying that this will ruin Southern Hemisphere rugby.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So if South Africa do join the Six Nations, is it going to be the Seven Nations, or are they just going to kick Italy out?
I'm sure they'll just kick Italy out. So yeah, really good support for your European rugby competition, Six Nations teams.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
And Scotland, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be crowing too much, because if another team decides to join, you're the next one to go.
Yeah. Well, we'll take them down here. Scotland can play. Scotland can play with us in Australia.
Yeah, hey. and of course, talks have started up again about this World Rugby Championship competition.
Okay.
I don't know, you probably remember. You would probably remember back in the mid-90s. Remember when the World Rugby Corporation was going to take over World Rugby?
End of the World Cup in '95.
Yeah, after the Rugby World Cup. And it was Murdoch, wasn't it? Rupert Murdoch was the one. Well, basically, he's ended up succeeding because it's TV and broadcasting that dictates where the games and competitions are being held now. It's nothing to do with the rugby bodies.
No.
So they've essentially got their wish. It's just taken 25 years to get there.
It's all about the money, isn't it, mate? It's all about the money. I mean, if you can take a leaf out of cricket's book, I hope not, but how many international leagues are there going on around the world on these 2020 leagues? I see them all over my Facebook feed. I see them all over the place on the news. It's like, look at this catch from the something league in somewhere. And you're like, and the cricket is so average. It's worse than Auckland club cricket. I saw one yesterday. Honestly, it was hilarious. I tagged a mate of mine. I said, mate, this is hilarious that this is getting TV coverage. And I said, sometimes bad cricket is a great watch, though. This guy had the ball straight up to mid on. The guy goes to catch it. He misses it. It hits his head and goes for six. Honestly, it was a falcon in a game of cricket.
Quality.
Honestly, bad cricket. Yeah, but this is the thing. How many leagues? I just get lost. I get lost to the teams. Sometimes less leagues are, for a fan, for someone that actually loves the game, it's I just want to support my team, now they're playing in the Zimbabwe Super Coastal blah 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 league. I'm sorry.
I'm lost I know. Yeah. It's just I just thought of that this morning when I heard about the Box supposedly joining Six Nations. It's just, well, your money bags with your TV companies have finally got your way, and you're running competitions. Rugby's no longer ruled by the IRB, and cricket's no longer ruled by the ICC. It's shocking, really.
Yeah. So it's the way of the world, mate. I mean, it's just it's all about the moolah.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, we as football fans, we don't like to put FIFA on a pedestal because they're the most corrupt organisation in the world, aside from the IOC. So, the mafia is third in that list of most corrupt organisations in the world. You've got the IOC number one, FIFA second, and then the mafia.
Absolutely.
Anyway, back onto the field, and Super Rugby Pacific does begin this weekend.
Woohoo! Who the Blues got?
Supposed to kick off tonight with Moana, Pacifica and Blues.
Yes!
but it's been postponed because
Ah.
Moana Pacifica's got a couple of COVID
Ah.
players. Anyway, so it's going to start tomorrow afternoon at 4:00. Chiefs playing the Highlanders in Queenstown, and then the mighty Crusaders. It's their year again.
Oh, look, you even got the new logo on there.
Yeah, got the t-shirt on today.
Yeah, good stuff. Beautiful.
In honor of Super Rugby starting.
Oh, you got the Canes.
Crusaders play the Canes.
Oh, that's a bit of a, that must be on the heartstrings a little bit, mate. Come on, you were born down in Cane country.
Really. Anyway, it'll be a good game. The game last year went to Golden Point at Sky Stadium, and the Crusaders came away with a victory. But a couple of All Blacks missing from that Crusaders lineup. No Richie Mo'unga or one of the other Crusaders All Blacks isn't playing, and I can't remember.
Are these going to be played in empty stadiums?
Yes.
So no crowd,
unless they've got bubbles of 100.
I know that they've got no crowd at the Queenstown one. I was just wondering about that. Yeah, so
no. And across the Tasman, the Waratahs hosting the Fijian Drua for their first ever game of Super Rugby.
Mm-hmm.
The Reds host the Rebels in Brisbane, and the Brumbies host the Western Force in Canberra. You've got to say Waratahs, Reds, Brumbies on for those 3 wins.
Yeah, but it'll be nice to see the Drua. I can't wait. I hope they play sort of chuck it around sort of rugby.
Yeah, they play anything like their sevens team.
Absolutely.
Couple of other things. Captain's Challenge is gone.
Oh,
it's been dropped after all teams were critical of it last year.
Fair enough.
Golden Point 50.
I only think I saw it used a couple of times. It was hardly used.
Yeah, it did get used a reasonable amount, especially towards the end of the competition.
Oh, yeah.
When, and I think
was it starting to get used tactically?
It got increased powers from the 75th minute on, which why are you changing the rules of the game with 5 minutes to go? Anyway, strange. Golden Point 50-22 and goal line dropouts all stay.
Okay. Yeah. Did you see a 50-22? I don't think I saw one.
I saw two that I remember.
Yeah. That's a good I like that. And I like the goal line dropout too. I think that's a good.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. It just, I guess it means less scrums.
It's a quick, speeds the game up, I would have thought.
Yeah, it does. And it teams, when they normally used to drop out from the 22, it sort of gave them a wee bit more of an advantage.
Yeah.
It just means that as with the league,
if you're on defense,
facing that pressure.
That's right.
Taking out from your goal line.
As you should. Six Nations takes a break this week after beating England. Scotland lost 2017 to Wales. God, I thought they were up for the Grand Slam this year, and then they go and lose to Wales, who don't look flash anyway. No. France remain the only unbeaten side. They look great, actually. They beat Ireland. England thrashed Italy 33-0. No surprises there. That's the Azuris' 34th straight loss in the competition. Not a great record.
And their 29th consecutive loss to England.
Far out. Why do they bother? You'd think give up the sport, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's terrible.
So
it's not really a Six Nations, is it?
Not really. No. Here we go.
You got anything more on the egg chasing, mate?
No, that's pretty much it. Time to go. Right. Cricket.
Yep, because it is cricket season after all.
It is cricket season.
It's cricket season after all. We've had a couple of tests already against the Bangers, and yesterday we kicked off against the Saffers, mate. The Saffers, and historically we've done very, very poorly against South Africa. Haven't we? I couldn't believe that record. We've only, I think, won 3 tests against them.
3 or 4 tests, yeah.
It's crazy. And I actually saw a stat. For the last 20 years, tosses won in New Zealand yesterday, which I found really, really interesting. Just before we get on to what happened yesterday, when the tosses won by New Zealand, 91% of the time we field in New Zealand for the last 20 years. When we've won the toss, 90% of the time we've fielded. Isn't that incredible? I mean, that says in New Zealand, it is definitely not the same as the rest of the world as far as conditions go. We generally have a green seamer.
Yeah, well, you look at that pitch yesterday, it looked like they were just playing on the outfield.
It did to start with.
Oh, we just stuck a couple of sets of stumps here and put some white lines down.
It did. It looked a little bit like club cricket, like Senior C or something, Senior B, didn't it? It was strange. But anyway, the green pitch played its part, but Matt Henry took advantage of it, didn't he? We rolled South Africa for 95, and Matt Henry, after having a fairly average, I think that would be fair to say, especially his figures. I don't think his form has been that bad. I think he's been a very, very unlucky bowler. But he took career best figures yesterday, 7 for 23, equal the third best ever figures for a New Zealander in test matches. 7 for 23 was also Richard Hadley's best test figures for a number of years, which he took against India. It was his first 7 for, and I just thought it was fantastic. He bowled very, very well, and I was just really, really stoked for him.
Yes, you can have those conditions, but you've still got to be able to put the ball on the spot. And he did that beautifully. I thought Kyle Jamieson was in for a big day when he took his first wicket, but and he bowled very well. Don't get me wrong, Jamieson. Matt Henry, he just put the ball. He had the ball on a string, as they say, and just
was away in.
Got it talking, and
he did.
It was beautiful to watch.
How's he gonna make the side next week? Or because Trent Bolt's obviously away on maternity leave, you got to be careful. Got to be careful when you take a break from a successful sporting side. And how's he going to make it back in? Who are they going to drop?
Especially given that the Test match is back at Hagley Oval again next week.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of pitch they put up for that one. Whether they'll use a couple of blocks away, or what, but they might just stick the wickets in the outfield again.
He's definitely going to be tough to drop, especially if he gets another 3 or 4 in the second dig. I mean, he gets 10 wickets. I mean, I suppose they dropped Ajaz, didn't they?
I was just going to say there's been a precedent not so long ago.
So it was just great. I mean, I actually thought of this yesterday when I was watching a bit of the cricket. I was thinking, have the Black Caps almost become New Zealand's number one sporting team? As far as support almost and results. I mean, I know that historically the All Blacks, of course, by miles, but just in the last little while, man, the Black Caps have been doing some bloody good things worldwide, and we've obviously won the Test Championship. We're in the final of the T20 and the One Day World Cup. I mean, what do you think? I mean, are they coming up?
It's certainly an interesting argument. As you say, when you put them up on history over the last 50, 60, 100 years,
there's no argument. Yeah,
they don't really come anywhere near the All Blacks. But in latter years, they've certainly performed pretty well. And there were a lot of people who didn't like Mike Hesson as coach, and then Gary Stead came in, and he certainly had his detractors. Had his detractors. So these guys, maybe we just have a go at them all the time, and they produce the results.
They just keep doing it, eh, man? They just keep doing it. I'm so proud of them. It's
an interesting next year or so, I think, for the Black Caps, when there's going to be a bit of a turnover when you look at the ages of our fast bowlers, apart from Kyle Jamieson, of course. They're all in their early 30s now.
Early 30s.
Wagner's getting a lot closer to his mid 30s.
But then you look at Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad.
No, they're rubbish. England selectors don't want them.
No, but I mean, look at their records, and they're pushing close to 40, and they're still doing it. So maybe we always sort of think early 30s all get ready for retirement. But I mean, now we're living in 2022. These guys travel the world on in first class, and they the dietitians and the fitness and all that sort of thing. I think a lot of them can play on a lot longer than what they used to.
So, absolutely, and they're a lot fitter nowadays than
definitely
in the 70s and 80s
when they were
straight off the field, the ciggies and the beer had come out.
Ciggies in a gin and tonic. Absolutely. No.
Anyway, talking of young cricketers.
Yep.
Isn't young Amelia Kerr turning out to be quite the young superstar? The 21-year-old hitting an unbeaten 100 in this week's win over India, and picking up a few wickets along the way. I mean, I remember when she came into the side as 16-year-old.
12.
Yeah.
Ridiculously young, wasn't she?
Yeah, 15 or 16. coming from good stock, of course. Her grandfather being Bruce Murray, who was a all-rounder for New Zealand back in the late 60s and early 70s. And her father, Robbie Kerr, represented New Zealand in indoor cricket, as well as playing
Canterbury
first-class cricket for Wellington. And one-day cricket. So good background. And, of course, her older sister, Jess, is also in the White Ferns.
And she was at the other end when she got the 100 too, wasn't she? When they won the game. So
Jess hit the winning runs.
Very, very talented family. Just 21 years old. She's got the world at her feet, mate. She's just a phenomenal player. Great to see.
And if I know Robbie I've known Robbie Kerr for a long time, and if Amelia and Jess are anything like their father, they'll be very down to earth, very humble young ladies. So
just the sort of sports people we like in this country, mate.
Quite right.
Yeah,
keep up the great work, Amelia and Jess Kerr.
Speaking of people that aren't really humble or nice and all that sort of thing, let's move to the NFL, shall we?
NFL.
Great segue, eh?
Yeah, great segue. Rams edged the Bengals 23-20.
Yeah, good game.
Your thoughts on the game, and of course the halftime show.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good game. It was close. You know, that's all you can want in a Super Bowl final. I really wanted the Bengals to win because they're sort of more of a traditional fan base, more of a real football team, whereas the Rams have just been planted there and got a whole bunch of money. So it wasn't the right result for me. But no, it was a good game. I enjoyed the game. It was back and forth, and either side could have won it at the end of the day. And I think that's all you want in a Super Bowl. But really, all the talk has been about the halftime show, mate. That's all anyone wanted to talk about after the Super Bowl was the halftime show. Yes, all the rappers coming out of their doctor's surgeries after having their colonoscopies and their Zimmer frames, and they put on a bloody good performance, didn't they? Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
I'm not the greatest fan of rap music, but I actually quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I love the fact they had the big trailers and the car. I mean, just the set was phenomenal, wasn't it, mate? It was just phenomenal. I love the Super Bowl. I love the halftime show. Every time it's just something to watch, isn't it, mate? It's just pure entertainment, and it was absolutely fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah, just a couple of things on the game itself. I thought the refereeing led a lot to be desired.
Yeah, they sort of let a lot to go, didn't they?
There was no flags apart from a delay of game and one offside for the first 58 and a half minutes.
Do you think that was a direct result of one of the semi-finals where they had like 40-something flags?
Oh, quite probably, but they let a hell of a lot go.
They did.
And then to pull up that pass interference ball with a minute and a half to go.
I know. And he hardly touched him. It was
yeah. And prior to that, the Rams guy had hold of
I know.
the Bengals.
Like a second, like a couple of minutes before. It was,
Oh, no, instantly before.
The play before.
No, that play.
Oh, on that play.
On that play, the Rams guy had a hold of the Bengals guy, who then grabbed the Rams
him.
guy.
Yeah, 6 of 1, half a dozen.
Yeah, and was then flagged for pass interference. I mean, in that position, there was only going to be one result, and that was going to be a touchdown. When you're first and goal from a yard out.
I thought they were really inconsistent. It was sad. It was, but once again, I think it did come from, the previous ones where they're like going, let them play football. And I think all that was the week before was an overly officious referee.
Yeah. So the other thing was earlier in the game, one of the Bengals touchdowns, before the ball got to the player, he had his hand on the face mask.
Yeah, he did. He pulled the one deep downfield along the left-hand sideline, and the guy pulled his face mask, hit him to the ground, and then he just caught the ball and ran off, didn't he? It was actually quite a sneaky move because his face was turned to the opposite side of the official, so he couldn't quite see it. But you'd think they'd have a million cameras, so Well,
the thing is, every touchdown is reviewed upstairs.
Yeah, but they're so not keen to call pass interference upstairs. They generally say it's been seen on the field. It's much the same as the Premier League when they go to the side and they say no, he's seen it. It has to be clear and obvious. But I thought that was pretty clear and obvious. But
And they've got, 683 referees on the field. So.
I know. Yeah, exactly. What did you think of the two quarterbacks?
Yeah, I thought they both had indifferent games. Neither, I would say, was outstanding.
No.
I thought Joe Burrow for the Bengals was let down a bit by his offensive line.
Yeah, me too.
I think they let the Rams come through them too easily. Matthew Stafford was good in patches and then not so good in patches.
Yeah.
I did think Cooper Kupp definitely deserved to win MVP.
Mate,
I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
he is amazing. He is an amazing player. He was paying 7-1 to be MVP.
Wow.
I should have put some money on it. I saw someone say, "Get on him." I was thinking, yeah, but you'd never back against a quarterback in the NFL. I was just thinking, it's going to be one of the. But when neither of them played that well, it was always going to be Cooper Kupp, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think if the Bengals had won it, it would have gone to the running back Mixon.
Yep. Absolutely.
He was fabulous.
He was.
What else is happening around the world in other sport, mate?
Oh, well, of course, the Winter Olympics are still going. We've got Nico Porteous, I think, to look forward to.
Finals today.
Today, yes. But of course, Zoe Sadowski-Synnott. And I'm gonna jump straight to my good week for her, because I think that's absolutely fantastic. Zoe Sadowski-Synnott, the youngest ever winner of the Olympic slam of medals, gold, silver, and bronze. She's only 20 years old, and she really does have the world at her feet, passing by her feet as she goes around in about 5,000 circles. What an absolute legend she is already, mate. 20 years old, and she's just sounds like such a Kiwi chick, doesn't she? She's just great. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
I noticed her dad was a bit more circumspect.
He was.
When interviewed by the media this week.
They got him in the morning. They got interview me before 5 o'clock, I think he said. Yeah, but I think that's great. I just love seeing stories like that coming out of Olympics. You know, people that are uncelebrated for 4 years, and then we just sort of get on the bandwagon and go, wow, go you.
I do think, however, somebody in the media got a bit carried away when they said, I can't remember who the reporter was, but they said that Zoe Sadowski-Synnott's right up there and now could be considered as our greatest Olympian ever.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, but let's just tie-ho a wee bit.
Just calm down, buddy.
Calm down, yeah. Yes,
was this like
to get those 3 medals, but
was this like one of these 20-year-old reporters?
Yeah.
With the mask on, they can remember the last 2 Olympics. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, yeah. Let's just realise that Lisa Carrington won more medals in one Olympics than Zoe's won in 2 Olympics.
Absolutely, and we did have Olympians before the 2000s as well. When you think about someone like Peter Snell or something. Anyway,
look, don't get me wrong. If she carries on this form in future Olympics, she could very well end up being New Zealand's greatest ever Olympian.
Absolutely. She's definitely our best ever Winter Olympian. I mean, just take it. I mean, just take the.
Yeah, and of course, Matt Henry's New Zealand's best ever bowler.
Oh, he definitely is down at Hagley in the last couple of days, for sure. Ryan Fox also doing okay. He won the Abu Dhabi Classic, his 2nd European Tour victory, his first in a stroke play event. Of course, Ryan Fox, son of former All Black great Grant Fox, and he's been traveling around the world playing golf, finding it very hard to come back to New Zealand. Of course, with the rules, he'll be very happy that they're changing soon as well. But he's going bloody well, isn't he, Macca?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great result for Ryan Fox. Of course, we talked about the form that Lydia Ko's in last week, and if Ryan can carry on, I mean, this tournament he led from start to finish. Yeah, which doesn't happen very often in golf tournaments. And of course, he did get the 4th round jitters a wee bit, losing. He was 6 shots ahead going into that final round, and his nearest challenger got as close as 2 shots halfway through the round. But thankfully, he found his form on the back 9 and cleared out to win by 4 shots. So
he didn't do the Greg Norman. Didn't do the Greg Norman.
He didn't do the Greg Norman or the
he's coming for me. Yes, and just one more thing, mate, before we conclude things. The death of Johnny Raper. We should have talked about this last week. Australian Professional Rugby League footballer and coach. He was nicknamed Chook. He was a lock forward who earned a then record 33 test caps for Australia between 1959 and 68. He played 6 World Cup games between 60 and 68. Captain Australia on 8 occasions. And played 8 consecutive grand finals for the Dragons. He was named as one of the nation's finest footballers of the 20th century. And of course, he was an immortal. Rest in peace, one of the greatest rugby league players of all time, Johnny Raper.
Yes, quite right. Hot air best bet of the week.
Give me some value.
Super Rugby starting this weekend. And my best bet this week will be the Highlanders 12 and under. Against the Chiefs, paying $3.75. And head-to-head, they're also paying $2.80. Now, the Highlanders traditionally start the competition very well, and the Chiefs sometimes not so great at the beginning of a competition. They're only paying $1.80 to win the game. So, yeah, Highlanders 12 and under, paying $3.75. And, of course, please make sure you bet responsibly.
Absolutely. Make sure you do. Aaron Smith playing? You know,
don't think so.
Okay.
Not sure.
Oh well, I'll check that out before I put my money on. Aaron Smith's playing. I'll go and get on it. Good week, bad week. Good week, of course. Zoe Sadowski-Synnott, 20 years old, gold, silver, and bronze in 2 Olympics. Absolutely phenomenal from her. Bad week. Tennis fans and pundits have ripped into world number 1 Novak Djokovic, claiming he is not anti-vax. It's despite admitting he is willing to miss Grand Slam tournaments to avoid getting the jab. He found himself in a world of controversy, of course, when he landed in Melbourne, and they said that he couldn't play, and he was denied entry. Finally, he broke his silence in a BBC interview this week, claiming that if his involvement in future tournaments was contingent on being vaccinated, then that's the price I'm willing to pay. The principles of my decision making on my body are more important than any title or anything else. I'm trying to be in tune with my body as much as I possibly can. Inevitably, his remarks did not sit well with large portions of the tennis community, who blasted his controversial views as wildly anti-scientific. Lots to digest from his interview, but one thing, he says he didn't have the chance to distance himself from the anti-vax movement because when he was in Australia, because no one asked me for my stance and opinion on the vaccination. He's got 9 million Twitter followers, by the way. No one asked him, but he's got 9 million Twitter followers, and he just said, no one asked me, so I didn't tell you.
And he's got a few dollars in the bank.
Absolutely. He doesn't have too many brain cells in the head, though.
Yeah.
Novak Djokovic, you're turning into a real Djokovic.
No great loss as far as I'm concerned.
No.
And just to answer your question, yes, Aaron Smith has been named in the Highlanders side. And further good news for the Highlanders is Folau Fakatava is back. He is on the bench. An outstanding halfback who lit the Super Rugby up last year before he... I can't remember, either broke his injury, his ACL, but it was a really bad injury, which has kept him out till now. So pretty good stocks for halfbacks in the Highlanders region. So get on the Highlanders at 12 and under.
$3.75. That's good money, mate. Go the Landers. Go the Highlanders.
Quite right. Well, that brings to a close another edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast. We'll be back next week.
Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. Send us a comment. We will reply.
Quite right. So it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him. Until next time.